Wake up! You're asleep at the wheel. I'm Josh Weil, and this is a review of Rogue and Gambit. Rogue and Gambit. If you have not read this yet, I strongly recommend it. It is so good. Now, this book is written by Thompson, with art by Pere Pérez, and colors by Frank D'Armata. And this is one of those books where there are so many good things I have to say about the writing. The writing is done with so much care and love and thoughtfulness to the characters and the history of the characters that you're just like, the writing has made this so good. But then you could take all of the words away. You could take all of the scripts. You could look at a blank artist copy of this, of just Pere Pérez's art, and you could follow it along and be like, my God, what he did telling this story visually is so good. And I'm gonna give you some examples right here. Now, even if you haven't read this, you might have seen some of the great layouts so far, because he has done these companion pieces here. He's done these full page splashes and double page splashes that show the history of the characters, where they're interacting and they're together, and you just have this explosion of their past, which is really what it's like when they're together. I mean, it's literal and figurative here in that, like, whenever they're together, they have all of these memories that just crash around them and make everything so much more difficult for them. That, and over again in each issue, we get these. We get with them kind of trying to deal with their past and figure it out. And it's not just in the words, it's not just in the way that it's approached, but these beautiful pieces that capture the emotions of the characters in the present and just spill out all of the history for the long-term readers. And it's just time and again, it's so good. The art, so beautiful. There are multiple pieces in here that I would love to just purchase additional floppies and put in a 10 by 18 frame and hang on the wall in my house, because the double page splashes are so beautiful. And based on the fact that I already have a couple beautiful double page splashes hanging in my house that are not as pretty as these, it's very likely that that's going to happen in the future. Now, going to the writing, what Thompson does here is, and I had to kind of discuss this with my wife to figure it out. So my wife, not really into comics. There's some stories she loves, and when she loves a comic, she reads it over and over again. Lock and Key. She has gone through the Lock and Key trades multiple times and is just profoundly in love with it, and rightfully so. Lock and Key is beautiful and great. What my wife really loves, my wife loves Star Wars, and my wife loves fanfic. And for those of you who are not aware of this, the world of Star Wars fanfic on the internet is just, immersive. She just free fall dives into that hole on a regular basis. And so, as I was giddily explaining this comic that I was reading and loving so much to her, she started cracking up and told me, she's like, "You're not reading a comic, you're reading fanfic." And I realized she was right. And not just that she was right, that this is like, oh, it's written like fanfic, but that Thompson deliberately makes this a canon fanfic comic, because for those of us who love these characters, right? If you're reading this book, if you're like, I gotta read Rogue and Gambit, it's because they're your #OTP. They're your one true pair. They're the couple that you think has to be together. They belong together. Why aren't they together? And so really, like, you're a fanfic person. You just maybe don't know it yet. And so not only does she like say like, I'm gonna do this like fanfic, but she deliberately plays up every single major fanfic trope in the book which is just so much fun. So much fun. So it starts with Kitty sending them on the job and hashtag force proximity. Rogue and Gambit are sent out to infiltrate together. They have to go hashtag undercover as a hashtag pretend couple. And by the way, every single one of these came off of like the top 100 common tags on AO3, like the #1 fanfic site on the internet. Like these are common fanfic tags. So they go under as a pretend couple, and you have like one of the best fanfic tropes ever. They get there, and Rogue's like, what do you mean there's only one bed? Hashtag bed sharing. Now, as it goes, they're forced into couple. They're forced into couples therapy. They have to recount their past. There are issues with memory loss, a la the Shadow King and the first time they met. Go back, reread Uncanny X-Men 260 to 280, all this good, fun, Shi'ar, Savage Land, Moir Island Saga stuff. You know, that's your first appearance of Gambit, your Savage Land Rogue, your Moir Island Saga with the Shadow King brainwashing and taking over and forcing various X-members to fight each other. Like, this is where these characters first met, which was immediately followed by the big X-Men 1 Jim Lee relaunch, the animated series that threw these characters in, and every single person age 40 and under immediately like OTPing them for the rest of their lives, just that imprint on the brain. But so we have issues of hashtag memory loss. And then the entire thing is just written in a just sexy, fun tone of fluff and angst. We've got some sexy time. We've got some more sexy time. We've got some wet sexy time. We've got some sexy time on the beach. So much. We've got emotional reconciliations mid-fight. Really, what all of that comes out to is my wife's #1 fanfic tag. Hashtag fluff and angst. This is what we want. This is what Rogue and Gambit shippers, a la me, a la you, if you're 8 minutes into this video on Rogue and Gambit trade so far, want from a Rogue and Gambit book. We want sexy, verbal, sparring, fighting, digging at each other, going into all of the, I can't believe you did this in the past, trying to push the needle in and dig at each other, but still like, no, I'm sorry, I love you, the codependent, like, no, stop, no, come, like, the push, the end, but it's gotta eventually have the, yes, love, connection, like, that's shipping, that's your pair, that's fanfic, and that's Rogue and Gambit. And it kicks up all the emotions in me, and it will in you, and it plays them like Kelly Thompson plays the reader like a violin here, and it is, I just, again, cannot say how good she did. Like, this is a masterful piece of fan service work that pushes forward the character's story with where they're at in current canon. It plays back on all of the history, some of it more convoluted than others, and ties it together beautifully, and it gives you, the reader, everything you want now. It is damn near perfect, and beautifully, beautifully drawn on top of it. Highly recommend Rogue and Gambit. If you haven't read it, read it now. That's it for today. Come back next week, this Friday, every Friday, for another review video on asleepatthewheel.com. Subscribe below. Check out past videos, and have yourself a great weekend. Peace out.